The World Humanoid Robot Games 2026 just brought some of the most advanced humanoid robots into one arena in Beijing. These robots were not only racing, they were playing tennis and football, fighting each other, completing factory-style tasks, and competing with much more autonomous control than before. And across those events, a few robots clearly stood out. Some broke records, some showed completely new ways of moving, others looked impressive right until something went wrong. So in this video, we are going through the biggest robots and moments from the games, what each robot actually achieved, and what these competitions reveal about where humanoid robotics stands right now. The games ran from August 22nd to 26th inside Beijing's National Speed Skating Oval. 16 countries sent entries and more than 2,000 robots competed. The program covered 51 events, almost twice as many as the first edition. 30 events focused on competitions such as racing, fighting, and football. The other 21 were scenario events built around work. A teleoperated run counted for only half the normal score, which gave teams a strong reason to let the robots operate on their own. Booster Robotics brought its T2 humanoid as a competition platform instead of a pure record chaser. T2 is compact and designed to be programmed repeatedly across many units. That became clear during the opening ceremony when Booster sent 80 T2 robots onto the track together. The robots moved in one long formation and stayed coordinated as a group. The important part was consistency. One robot completing a difficult move shows that one unit can perform it. 80 robots moving together shows that the same hardware can be built and calibrated across a much larger fleet. No medal came from that moment, but Booster showed that its robot could be repeated at scale without every unit behaving differently. Tiangong Ultra was built around fast full-body movement. The Beijing Humanoid Robot Innovation Center developed the platform, and the robot became one of the biggest stars of the track. In a preliminary heat, Tiangong Ultra ran the 100 meters in 9.39 seconds. Usain Bolt's human world record is 9.58 seconds, although humanoid races use a different rulebook. Tiangong Ultra also won the 400 meters in 38.15 seconds, and later took the 1500-meter title in 2 minutes and 21.64 seconds. The robot also reached nearly 2.88 meters in the standing high jump. The longer races test more than top speed. The robot has to control balance through turns, manage joint heat, and keep moving without somebody correcting every mistake. But Tiangong Ultra also showed where the problem still is. After finishing one run, the robot could not slow itself cleanly. It pushed into a crash mat and stumbled sideways after the line. Reaching high speed is one challenge. Bringing a full humanoid body back under control is another. The robot had enough control to win the race, but not enough to make the finish look clean and safe. Honor's Lightning robot followed a similar path, but with an even stronger focus on speed. CCTV reported that the platform reached a peak velocity of 14.5 meters per second. In the 100-meter heat, Lightning finished in 9.47 seconds. Earlier in 2026, the same robot completed a half marathon in 50 minutes and 26 seconds, showing that Honor is targeting both high speed and longer distance. Then Lightning crossed the finish line and collapsed. The robot had to be carried away on a stretcher. Driving a humanoid body forward at extreme speed is becoming possible. Controlling that body after the sprint is still much harder. The race was impressive, but the ending showed that speed alone does not equal reliable movement. Both Tiangong Ultra and Lightning proved that humanoid robots are getting incredibly fast, but both also showed problems after the finish. So what matters more to you right now, speed or control? Tell me below in the comments. Tiangong Omni competed in the smaller size class and won the 400-meter final in 45.66 seconds. The time was strong, but its running posture drew almost as much attention. Omni moved with both arms folded near the head instead of swinging them like a human runner. The development team explained that nobody directly programmed that pose. It appeared during simulation training because the position reduced load on the shoulder joints and helped manage energy through the race. This shows how humanoid movement can start to separate from human movement. The robot has a human-like body because it needs to work in spaces built for people. But the best way for that body to move does not always have to look human. Tennis created a very different challenge. A sprinting robot knows where the finish line is. A tennis robot has to react to a ball that changes direction every second. Galbot put humanoid robots on the court against human athletes during the opening ceremony. The company says its robots completed more than 100 consecutive autonomous rallies and described it as the first live autonomous humanoid tennis match. That claim comes from Galbot, but the footage still shows why the demonstration matters. The robot has to see the ball, predict where it is going, and move into position before the shot arrives. Then it has to swing at the right time and recover for the next return. One Galbot robot fell while chasing a wide ball, then stood back up and continued playing. That recovery matters because useful robots cannot expect every movement to go perfectly. Unitree G1 appeared across several parts of the games, but not mainly as a record chaser. G1 works more like a general-purpose platform that different teams can program for their own tasks. Teams can change the control software and build new behavior on top of the same robot. Researchers can test new ideas without building an entire humanoid from scratch. Football showed this clearly. Teams used humanoids to dribble, shoot, and defend while reacting to other moving robots. One robot scored and immediately performed the Ronaldo celebration, which quickly became one of the popular clips from the event. Combat tested something different. Humanoids wearing protective gear had to stay balanced while another robot was pushing or striking them. Table tennis pushed reaction speed even further. The less glamorous events may be more important for real deployment. 21 scenario events placed robots inside simulated factories and warehouses, as well as hotels, restaurants, and emergency situations. Tasks included connecting cables and charging electric vehicles, along with assembling parts and tightening screws. Tightening a screw sounds simple until a robot has to do it alone. The robot must find the screw, line up the hand, and apply the right amount of force. It also has to notice when the thread catches and correct the movement before damaging the part. These are small actions for a person, but they demand precise vision and hand control from a humanoid. Do you think these work-based events are actually more important than racing, fighting, and jumping? Share your opinion below. The games also showed plenty of failure. Robots crashed into mats, fell during events, and sometimes needed help after a run. One report even described a robot catching fire. This is why public competition is useful. A company can edit a demonstration before publishing it. An arena filled with cameras gives teams much less control over what people see. Chinese companies filled most of the track events, courts, and scenario areas. Major American humanoid companies were mostly absent. That does not automatically mean one side is ahead. The strategies are different. Chinese companies are putting robots into open competitions where performance and failure are visible. Many American companies are focusing more on factory pilots, controlled testing, and commercial deployments. One approach creates public benchmarks. The other is aimed more directly at getting robots into paid work. The World Humanoid Robot Games 2026 made one thing very clear. Humanoid robots are improving fast, but the hardest part is no longer just making them move. The real challenge is making that movement reliable enough to work every time. We saw robots sprint at incredible speeds, play against humans, and recover after falls. At the same time, we also saw crashes, unstable finishes, and tasks that still push these robots to their limits. And if you want to keep up with how quickly these humanoid robots are changing, subscribe to the AI Nexus. There is a lot more coming. And that is what makes this stage of humanoid robotics so interesting. Every new demonstration is showing us not only what these robots can already do, but exactly what still needs to be solved next. But the World Humanoid Robot Games were only one part of this week's robotics progress. Engine AI's T800 also received a new ability that could make its movements much more aware of the ground beneath it. Engine AI has stunned the robotics world again with its T800 humanoid, but this time it is not because of a brutal kick or another backflip. It is because of a new upgrade that could make the robot much more useful in the real world. The T800 is already known for explosive movements and kicks powerful enough to send a person flying. But that raised a bigger question. What can this kind of power actually be used for? Now, Engine AI has an answer. The T800 has been equipped with a new tactile shoe that allows the robot to actually sense how its feet are interacting with the ground. And at the same time, multiple T800 robots have started working inside a real factory. But that is only the beginning, because another Chinese company has revealed something even stranger. A robot that can literally transform its body, switching between humanoid, four-legged, and even flying forms. The AI robotics race is moving beyond robots that can simply walk. Now robots are learning to feel, work, and even transform. For an adult-sized robot walking on two legs, one of the biggest challenges is knowing exactly how each foot is interacting with the ground. A small change in pressure or contact can affect balance, stability, and the next step. Paxini has now revealed a multi-dimensional tactile sensing shoe for Engine AI's T800. giving the humanoid a much clearer sense of what is happening underneath its feet. The system can detect how pressure is distributed across the sole, helping T800 understand when the foot makes contact. Think about stepping from a hard floor onto loose gravel. Your eyes can see the gravel before your foot lands, but they cannot tell you exactly how the stones shift once your weight comes down. Your feet feel that change. One side may sink more than the other, or the sole may begin sliding. Pacchini is adding another layer of awareness to how the T800 interacts with the ground. The T800 performs high kicks near a punching bag, then moves across smooth flooring, stone, grass, gravel, and rough pavement. A live force visualization changes as different parts of each foot touch the surface. Instead of treating the foot as one rigid endpoint, engineers can see how the load moves across the sole. Pacchini describes the technology as multidimensional tactile sensing. Its sensor platform can detect forces acting into the surface as well as forces moving across it. That becomes useful when a foot starts to slip. This tactile shoe is also easy to remove and replace. Since robot feet constantly deal with impact, friction, and pressure, being able to swap out the worn shoe instead of repairing or rebuilding the entire leg makes maintenance much simpler. Now let's look at the robot actually testing this new technology. Engine AI's T800 is a full-sized humanoid built for powerful and highly dynamic movement. The company has already shown it performing fast kicks, aggressive body movements, and other actions that put a huge amount of stress on balance and foot placement. That makes the T800 a particularly useful platform for testing Pacchini's tactile shoe, because during these movements, even a small loss of grip or pressure under one foot can quickly affect the stability of the entire robot. But the new tactile shoes are only one part of what Engine AI has been doing with the T800. The robot has also made progress in two other areas recently. The first major update is that the T800 has now started working inside a real factory environment. Engine AI released footage showing multiple T800 robots operating at a Luxshare ICT facility in Suzhou. Luxshare is a major electronics manufacturer and Apple supplier, and the company also recently co-led a funding round for Engine AI. Inside the factory, the T800 can be seen identifying materials, picking and placing objects with both arms, moving containers, and navigating around obstacles. More importantly, this is not just one robot performing an isolated demonstration. Multiple T800 units appear working within the same production area, showing Engine AI's larger goal of eventually deploying groups of humanoid robots across existing factory workflows. The footage is still edited, so we do not yet know things like continuous operating time, task success rate, or how often humans need to step in. But it does show that Engine AI is moving the T800 beyond controlled demonstrations and into an actual industrial setting where the robot has to interact with real equipment, materials, and other machines. And just days later, Engine AI showed a completely different side of the same robot. On August 15th, the T800 made its physical US debut at REK2, a live-streamed humanoid robot fighting event in San Francisco. During these fights, human pilots controlled the larger movements and fighting decisions, while the robot's onboard systems handled the rapid balance corrections and joint coordination needed to keep the T800 upright. So this was not autonomous combat, but it was still a demanding test of the hardware. Every kick forces the robot to balance almost its entire body on one leg. Every collision tests the strength of the frame and actuators. Falls test how well the system can absorb impact and recover, while longer fights put continuous stress on the joints, motors, cooling systems, power supply, and communication link. And although factory work and robot fighting look completely different, both are testing many of the same physical capabilities. Engine AI lists joint torque of up to 450 Newton-meters for the T800. In a fight, that strength can produce fast and explosive movement. Inside a factory, the same powerful hardware can be used to lift, carry, and control heavier objects with stability. The second area where Engine AI is making progress is mass production. The company is now trying to move the T800 beyond individual prototypes and build the robot at a much larger scale. Engine AI opened a manufacturing base in Shenzhen in May, then expanded T800 production to a second facility in Zhengzhou. The first batch produced at the Zhengzhou site rolled off the line on July 24th. Engine AI has said these facilities could eventually support production in the thousands, but those numbers are still capacity targets, rather than confirmed output. The company has also not revealed how many T800 robots were included in that first Zhengzhou batch. While Engine AI is improving what the T800 can sense, another company is exploring a much more unusual idea. What if a humanoid robot did not have to keep the same body shape at all? That is the idea behind Arctial Robotics MX-01. Instead of designing one humanoid body and forcing it to deal with every type of terrain, MX-01 is built to physically transform depending on what the situation requires. The same platform can move as a two-legged humanoid, reconfigure into a four-legged robot, and even connect with a separate flight system to travel through the air. Arctial is also working on a wheeled configuration. The humanoid form is aimed at tasks where human-like reach and manipulation are useful. If the ground becomes rough, the quadruped form gives the robot more contact points and better stability. When there is no useful route across the ground, the flight module provides another option. The flight part is especially unusual because MX-01 does not permanently carry the aircraft. A separate heavy lift module can approach the robot, align using visual ranging and attitude sensing, dock with it, and lift the robot into the air. After landing, the flight hardware can fold its rotors, so MX-01 can return to ground movement. Keeping the aircraft separate avoids forcing the humanoid to carry flight hardware during every normal task, but it also creates a dependency. The flight module has to be nearby, and the docking process has to work reliably. Disaster response shows why this could be useful. MX-01 could walk through an accessible area, switch to four legs when rubble makes upright movement unreliable, then use flight when a collapsed section blocks the route. Instead of sending three specialized robots, the goal is one platform that changes how it moves as the environment changes. There is real research behind the design. Professor Jian S. Dai is an important shareholder in Arctial and has spent decades working on metamorphic mechanisms. These are structures designed to physically reconfigure for different tasks. MX-01 pushes that research toward a much more ambitious humanoid platform, but MX-01 is still an early prototype. Arctial has not published its height, weight, payload in each mode, battery endurance, transformation time, or flight duration. The company also has not released enough data to judge how reliably the docking process works outside controlled tests. Arctial says the final appearance and structure can still change. The company is already accepting pre-orders, although there is no public price. So the important part right now is not that every piece of MX-01 has been solved. It is that Arctial has turned the idea of a humanoid, quadruped, and flying robot into one physical prototype. The next test is whether those transformations can become reliable enough for real work. What makes both of these robots interesting is that neither update is simply about adding more power. The T800 is gaining a better understanding of how its body interacts with the ground, while MX-01 is changing the body itself when the environment demands something different. Both approaches point toward robots becoming far more adaptable in the real world. And if you want to keep up with the biggest developments in AI and robotics as they happen, subscribe to AI Nexus because this space is changing ridiculously fast.